and welcome to the MoneyMagpie podcast. And I'm joined today by Sam Volkering, who is the crypto expert. And we're just going to find out what's happening in the crypto sphere right now. And also, what should you be investing in? Hello, Sam.
Hi, Jasmine. How are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
Great to have you. Thank you so much, Sam. So first question, pretty obviously, if you're talking about the crypto sphere, what's happening in the crypto sphere? In particular, what's happening with Bitcoin at the moment?
Yeah, well, so as we speak, Bitcoin's actually on a bit of a run. It's I guess you would call it a bit of a crab market, has been a term that people have used recently, where the fiat converted value, so the value in pounds or dollars, has sort of been sideways. It's kind of been hovering around that 45,000 US dollar mark. I mean, looking at the price, talking about the price and things like that, the short-term swings is one thing, but when you think about where we were in March 2020, when Bitcoin's price was about 4,000 US dollars to where we are today, things have certainly moved along, and it's caught the attention of, I think, the world, it's fair to say now.
What would you say are the top few exciting things that are happening in this sphere at the moment?
So I think one of the core concepts about cryptocurrency, and particularly with Bitcoin, is that, I mean, it was originally created as a unit of exchange on the internet, and it's still that, and it's also become a store of value. But one of the things that's happened with Bitcoin recently is a development in what's called a Lightning Network, which helps facilitate faster, cheaper transfers of Bitcoin. And so that's the foundation of what we've seen with the rollout of Bitcoin as legal tender in El Salvador. In the last couple of weeks as well, we've seen that Twitter has started to roll out crypto payments or Bitcoin payments within Twitter for tipping. So for instance, on your Twitter profile, I could go there and I could tip you. It's amazing stuff, really, when you think about it, because I mean, Jack Dorsey, who founded and runs Twitter, also founded and runs a company called Square, and they've developed, they're really heavily involved in the crypto and Bitcoin space as well. And so they're sort of coming together, this convergence of cryptocurrency and things like Twitter, countries like El Salvador, and that's just Bitcoin. So that's just the developments with Bitcoin at the moment that are quite exciting.
So isn't there some news about Visa and crypto as well?
Yeah, so Visa has been doing actually quite a lot recently. So, I mean, most people will probably have heard of Visa. I'll be surprised if everyone watching doesn't have at least one Visa card in their wallet. So Visa, $488 billion market cap company. Recently, they actually purchased an NFT, a CryptoPunk NFT. They spent 150,000 US dollars on that. They've also recently partnered with Crypto.com, very large crypto exchange and payments company. And they're rolling out, Visa are now going to start testing and using the USDC stablecoin, which is US dollar stablecoin, to settle transactions with Crypto.com and Crypto.com partners. And then probably the more exciting thing, which is a little bit under the radar, is a little bit technical and a little bit boring, but very important, is that Visa has recently started testing smart contracts on Ethereum's Ropsten test network. So their head of crypto, he tweeted the link to the smart contract. Everyone can go and have a look and see and check out what they're doing. But it's a sign that, one of the world's largest companies, arguably the most important payments company in the world, sees cryptocurrency and distributed decentralized networks like Ethereum as the future. And so they're getting involved. They're checking this out with, serious intent. And it's exciting to see that kind of awareness and adoption from the kinds of companies that 5 or 6 years ago, like many people, just thought this was all some flash in the pan, tulip bulb mania, South Sea bubble sort of thing. And it really isn't.
No, it's a really interesting area. However, we talked about El Salvador, but China seems to disagree. I think it's trying to disagree anyway. It's basically said no more crypto, which I think is like, trying to stop the waves from coming in, trying to stop the tide from coming in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, the thing with China, and we shouldn't really expect any different. The way that they rule their country is very different to anything that we could ever understand. But this isn't the first time China have tried to interfere with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency markets. I remember back in 2013, I think it was around about the time when Bitcoin first went past $1,000. There were a whole bunch of reasons why that happened. But anyway, China piped up and said, we're going to ban cryptocurrency transactions, specifically Bitcoin. And it was like, okay, well, China's going to ban it. And it did have an impact on the market, and it was very volatile, and it fluctuated a lot. And it went from like 1,000 to 1,200 to $400. And ever since, I think probably every year, I can't remember a year where China hasn't banned Bitcoin. Let me put it that way. So again, when you've been around this space long enough and you hear that China bans Bitcoin, it's like, oh, that's good. Maybe they should keep banning it, because it doesn't seem to have impacted anything at all. And look, they kicked out basically their entire Bitcoin and crypto mining industry as well. And everyone's like, oh no, it's the end of Bitcoin's network. It's like, well, no, because companies just shifted to other countries, to the US. And now that slack has already been picked up. So yeah, China's banning it is like their own prerogative. They're trying to roll out their own, central bank-backed digital currency, which is really a control measure for their population. And so, yeah, I wouldn't expect any different. But then, like, as you say, El Salvador, smaller countries looking at how they can adopt Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Absolutely. You've mentioned China wanting to do its own CBDC, central bank digital currency. Of course, lots of governments are wanting to do that. Although I personally am a big fan of cryptocurrency, I am very much not a fan of CBDCs. And I'm wondering, I've been told they're inevitable, tough, you're going to have to live with them. But I'm thinking, no, I don't think they are inevitable, actually. I wondered what you think about CBDCs.
Yeah, look, from my perspective, it's not actually going to be a massive or radical change from what we have now. I think weirdly they're trying to streamline the current financial system as it is, and seems like they're trying to cut retail banking out from the banks and bring it in-house to the central bank. I think what we'll probably see evolve is that access to retail banking may come under the guise of the central bank, but wholesale banking will very much, and lending will very much be a part of traditional major big banks. So the way the financial system works right now, as I'm sure you're well aware, but people at home just might not know, is that it operates on what's called a fractional banking system. So there's actually not enough money in the world if everybody wanted physical money. And so that means that a lot of money that sits in our accounts is just digital anyway. Yeah. So, it's the central bank creating numbers out of thin air when they money print. So I don't think it'll be a radical change, but it absolutely becomes an easier mechanism for the central bank and for governments to track everything, every movement, all money.
Exactly.
It will.
And that is my big problem. I know already much of what we do is being tracked, but I really, really do not want central bank or, central bank / government to know what I'm earning, when, where, how, what I'm spending, when, where, how, and to tell me, oh, by the way, that money you've got, it's going to disappear in a few months' time, so you better spend it now, because as we know, with the smart contracts, etc., there's all sorts of things you can do with this money. So that's what I'm very, very unhappy about.
Yeah, I think another way to think about a central bank-backed digital currency is it's programmable money, and the programmers become the central bank and the government. So exactly like you said, if they decide that the economy needs stimulus, and so they're going to drop some helicopter money into everyone's account, they might just whack a timer on it. If you don't spend it within a week, it's gone.
Exactly.
That's terrifying. It's terrifying that they could have that control, which totally. Again comes back to private money, which is, decentralized money, which is cryptocurrencies and things like Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, this is it. So I like cryptocurrency. I like the idea of money of the people. Although, I am also aware that pretty much anything that starts off being of the people ends up being of the government. So, I'm going to keep fighting it, but it's good to have more understanding of what the government is planning. And speaking of which, now I know in your newsletter, and again, tell us about your newsletter. You've mentioned about a new investment opportunity to do with basically a new internet, really. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I write for the Exponential Investor newsletter. Anyone that's interested can find us at exponentialinvestor.com, where we cover a whole bunch of things, predominantly sort of technology focused, but we cover things from like green energy, as I say, tech, high tech, breakthrough tech, revolutionary tech. And obviously one of the biggest and most exciting technology breakthroughs, which is how I see it, of the millennium, is cryptocurrencies, blockchain networks, decentralized distributed networks, which is what they all really are. And so I've been doing a lot of research recently on what is the next iteration of foundational technology. So, when we look through the past and we see, you've got electricity, electricity changed the game for everything. And from that, we had, the explosion of industry, the automobile, the plane, TV, radio, all these other great technologies, the PC, computers, and obviously the internet. I see the internet as another one of those foundational technologies where, the economic benefit that has created. I mean, I think in the US alone, it's like $1 trillion per year economic benefit to the US alone. So the internet, again, being one of those foundational technologies. And my current research is really focused on what is that next foundational technology, which comes and sort of layers upon the internet and potentially could bring that same size, even more economic benefit to countries that can invest in these sorts of things. So I've really been looking into that deeply through how that's rolling out through decentralized distributed networks and blockchain technology. And importantly, the kinds of companies that are involved in it that are listed in public markets, like on the London Stock Exchange, that people can invest in. Because one of the great things about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology and distributed decentralized technology is that anyone can invest in it. This isn't stuff that's just, set aside for institutional investors or sophisticated investors. Anyone that can open a brokerage account and invest in the London Stock Exchange, or can get access to a cryptocurrency exchange, can invest in these things. And that's what I love about it, because it opens the door to the little guy, to the average investor that just wants to try and get ahead, make some money, secure their financial freedom. They've got an opportunity to get involved and invested in these markets. And it's the stock markets and the previous, financial system, it's never really been in favor of the little guy. But the way it is now is that it is. And I love that. I love that about it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sam. Loads to think about there. And tell us again, where do we go to sign up to your free newsletter? Yeah,
so just go to exponentialinvestor.com. And you'll be able to, chuck your email address down there and get our newsletter sent to you free every day. And you'll be able to hear all my thoughts on cryptocurrency and technology and breakthrough technologies. And obviously, if you want, you can find me on Twitter at Sam Volkering. And you'll see my more real-time thoughts that way as well. Excellent. Thank you so much. That's really great. Great to have you on, Sam. It's been a pleasure. Hope to have you on again. Indeed. Thanks. Thank you.